What is up, guys? Welcome back to Phigora. My name is Juan Pablo and I got a very special video for you. Today we're going to be restoring a Richard Mille back to its former glory. It used to look like this, has some dings, some scratches, and we're going to make it look brand spanking new. Before we start the video, I just want to say thank you for 77,000 subscribers. It sounds crazy every time I say that, so thank you so much for following along. Enough talking, let's get right to the video. We're going to be working on this RM037. Here I'm going to give you some closer looks to it. It's a beautiful piece here with the red dial inside, factory diamonds, no diamonds on the side. There is a missing chunk right there.
Well, I would normally inspect the watch first, but I've already done that. Something is off about this watch, and usually a white gold watch would be either entirely covered in rhodium or not. For some reason, this watch is half covered in rhodium. The case back and the case is not covered in rhodium, and the bezel is. So I know that usually if a watch has diamonds in it, they would cover the entire thing in rhodium. So this is very unusual. It makes me think that something might be wrong with this watch. But let's take it apart and we'll see. First, we'll be removing the strap. So before I take a watch apart, I like to water test it, make sure it's waterproof before I take it apart. This way, if I put it together and it doesn't pass the water test, I know that I did something wrong. Okay, so this watch is waterproof. So we are taking off the case back, and that will give us access to the movement. But what I have to do first is unscrew the detent, which holds the crown and stem in place. So it's preventing the movement from coming out. We're going to pop open the case back now. Okay, here's a gasket that we're going to remove. 1, 2, 3 halves. The crown comes out, and the crown comes out, and the crown comes out. Oh, this is different. This is different. It's not a pull-out crown.
Does that affect LeBron's legacy?
Who's that? Upon closer inspection, it looks like there is a detent screw here. However, if you unscrew it, you can unscrew it all the way. It's not going to release the crown because this is not a traditional crown. If you notice, there's a button here, and if you push it, there's an indicator there. Right now it's on N, meaning neutral. The crown is in neutral position. If you move it, nothing happens. If you push the button, it goes to the winding position. So now the watch winds, and if you push it one more time, it goes in the hand setting position. So that means that you don't have to remove the crown in order to set it. It's easier if I just show you. If you remove this rubber piece here, you will see that there is a C-clip. If you push down on this C-clip, after you remove the C-clip, the crown will just come off. So now that we have the crown out, we're going to remove these 4 movement holder screws, and then we can remove the movement through the bezel. So let's quickly unscrew these 4 screws. Now there is 8 screws retaining the bezel. Right, now that the screws are loose, we can remove the bezel. We'll have to lift up the bezel because usually it gets stuck to the gasket, which is in return is stuck to the case. And ideally the movement will come out if I just flip it. There we go. Now that the watch is taken apart, we can take it downstairs to the polishing room and do some magic. So we're in the polishing room now. As you can see, this case has satin and sandblast on the sides. There's a bit of shine on the side with the case back, and the bezel appears to be all shiny. So let's get to polishing. So usually I inspect each piece individually and see what needs to be done. As you can see, there's also sandblast on the inside of the case back, and sometimes when people are not careful during polishing, they shine the sandblast. If it is shined, I would sandblast them, but this appears to be in good condition. So the only thing we have to do on the case back is do the shine first and then do the satin, because if you do satin first, you could get shine on the satin while doing shine. You don't want that. Okay, so let's get to it. So what I'm using right now is a felt wheel. I would say the hardness of this one is probably rock hard. They come in different hardnesses, and depending on how you use them, you can have different results. The harder ones help you preserve the shape of whatever you're polishing. So if it's a flat surface, it will keep it flat, whereas a softer one would make it more round. So it's important to know which felt wheel to use for something like this. So after we're done restoring the edges of the case back, we're going to shine it a little bit. Afterwards, we have to steam the case back because you don't want the paste getting onto the sandpaper that you're going to use. So we'll give it a bit of a bath. Okay, so now that the case back is clear, I have this piece of plexi that we put double tape on for holding all kinds of pieces. We're just going to sand the surface of the case back. Here we have the case, and like I said, it's half sandblast and half satin. Before I do sandblast, I usually do a cleaning first. This way the sandblast is going to be more even. So now the case is clear. We have a clear indication of where faults are on the sandblast. It will make sandblasting a little bit easier. That looks nice. And now we can do the satin on these columns here. So as you can see, the Richard Mille logo is not a flat surface, it's curved in both ways. So there's a special technique that I use for polishing these pieces. Instead of using the hard piece down here, I'm going to press the buckle against this surface. And as you can see, it gives a little bit. It allows the sandpaper to contour around the buckle evenly. Still have the bezel, and the question still remains whether or not it's supposed to have rhodium on it, and there's still the ding on the side of the bezel that you have to take care of. Let's laser this first and prepare this for rhodium. I do believe it's supposed to be rhodium coated from the factory. We'll leave it as is, as per the customer's request. So here's it then closer up, and you can see that it's not a small ding. This is significant. There's been metal that's been removed during the impact. The watch either fell or it hit a wall, a concrete wall or something like that. The gold just got sheared off. So we have to rebuild this corner, polish it out. So we set our parameters, and we have our white gold laser wire. And lasering is done dot by dot, and you just build it up step by step, little by little. It's a pretty big surface that you have to cover, so it takes some time to finish the whole thing. So here we have corner rebuild. It has a bit of excess metal on it because we have to account for us having to reshape the bezel. Be mindful when lasering anything, especially something with diamonds. The laser can break a diamond apart. Always remove whatever you're lasering. Don't leave it on the watch. We had an instance when we lasered through a watch glass and it also had the dial. It was supposed to be a very small job, and it ended up turning into a very big project. It was very expensive. We had to send the watch to the factory. So always be careful, don't take any shortcuts. You can learn from my mistakes, or you learn from your own mistakes. Okay, so we're just going to a bit of reshaping of the bezel on the sanding machine right now. I have a very soft belt. It's a very high grit, 600 or 800, so it doesn't remove too much metal. It allows you to work comfortably with whatever you're working on. As you can see, the shape is coming back a little bit. So now that we have this piece rebuilt, here's the corner. We have to remove the rest of the rhodium from the bezel piece. We are going to rhodium it afterwards, and then I'll see you upstairs for reassembly. Welcome back to the shop. We're ready to put together the Richard Mille which we were polishing earlier. Install our pusher guards again. We applied Loctite to the tube. So let's assemble our pushers. First we put in our pusher screw. We applied some grease to it, some silicone. We have the movement here. Before we install it in the case, we have to make sure that we install these 4 rubber gaskets which act as shock absorbers and also prevent the screws from unscrewing. Now if you recall, there's a C-clip holding this crown to the case, which is a little bit unusual. We can put together the rest of the top of the case. Now we're going to flip this baby over. Now we can secure the movement. Here are 4 more washers. You also have to make sure that the case back sits flush. It's also easy to pinch the case back gasket. So here's the finished Richard Mille. Let us know what you think about it. Please like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. Thank you.